Someone I know brought a very deep and profound question forward. They asked a question involving the web of weird fate or destiny. Who this person is not central to the subject matter of this video, so I will not be drawing attention to them personally in addressing this question, but they know I am speaking on this topic because I've let them know that I am addressing their question. Instead of dragging them personally out and putting them on the spot, I'd rather speak to all of you, because I'm sure that many of you may relate to this subject matter somehow. I think what I have to say here may hold validity and weight not just for that one person, but potentially it may be relevant for many more of you as well. That said, I hope you find this video to be helpful, thought-provoking, enlightening, and or comforting. Hello and welcome back to Eva's House of Spirit. I'm Eva, and today I'd like to share with you my thoughts on destiny, the web of weird, and the journey of life. I can't say that I have all the answers or that this is the be-all and end-all of this sort of subject matter, but I can tell you, I can share with you my thoughts, my empirical understanding of the nature of destiny and the web of weird and the journey of life. A lot of people over time, over the years, have approached me with questions regarding this subject matter. And recently, again, someone has come forward seeking some insight in this particular vein. So I thought I should do a video. Again, this is just my take on things. So please, bear with me, understand that I am not here to tell you that I am totally right. I'm not here to tell you this is the definitive truth. I just thought that I would just share my thoughts with you. The first thing I'd like to speak on is the subject of destiny. A lot of people have a hard time with reconciling free will and fate. I personally believe, and I found as a tarot reader reason to believe that yes, we are predestined for certain things. Maybe it is possible that before we begin each lifetime, our souls perhaps decide on lessons that we must learn or something of that sort. So we come into each life prepared to experience certain things, to learn life lessons firsthand in order that we can refine our souls so that we can become enlightened, become purer of spirit, and eventually, maybe through enough lifetimes, after enough lifetimes, when we finally have attained all of the understanding that we possibly need on a soul level, maybe it's true that we then will return to source. That much I would like to believe. I'm not certain, but I do believe that we are predestined for certain things. And yet, I do also believe that we have free will in how we get from point A to our predestined point B. In other words, let's say that you are a woman who is destined to be a mother. Okay. Well, you have free will in the journey of your life. You have free will in choosing your partners, in making your choices. But if you are meant to be a mother, ultimately you will be a mother. So that's how I look at the concept of destiny. Now, when people get readings, divinations like tarot or oracle or runes or anything, they are not illustrating events that are set in stone. They're illustrating a series of most likely outcomes, or they are illustrating what is going on and what will potentially happen if the person in question does nothing to consciously influence or direct the course of their life. But because we have that flexibility in our free will of how we travel from point A to our predestined point B, we can shape the future. We can shape the events of our lives. We can, have divinations done, and we can take the insight that is brought forward to us, and we can then act on that and bring events as much as we are able to be closer in line with that which we desire or seek. Readings are also the best way, I think, or the best thing I would liken readings to is counsel. When you don't know what to do, readings can offer you counsel. Some insight of an objective sort that can help you to find direction. Ultimately, what you do with the insight that comes to you is purely up to you, but readings can give you insight that is not colored by emotion, doubt, fear, anything like that. And it is really objective, and that is very helpful, because when you are examining a situation, trying to find a clearer perspective on it, it's sometimes hard to see the forest for the trees when you're in it. But when there is a perspective, an outward perspective, from the outside looking in, or from a higher vantage point, looking down, things tend to be much clearer. They tend to be illustrated much clearer without bias. And that can help. That can help, I think, a lot. Now, the web of weird is another aspect. A lot of cultures believe that there are certain spinners of fate. Some call them the Norns, some call them the Weird Sisters, some call them the Fates, or some call them by other names. They basically spin the threads of the lives of people. Theoretically, I have heard tell that it is possible to change the weave of the tapestry of life through, of course, magical means, but this is not easy to do for several reasons. Number one, it requires a great understanding of fate, destiny, and the fates. Number two, being that life is indeed a tapestry, and that all these threads in the web of weird, they're rather intertwined. When you do something to one thread, it will affect the other threads in the weave. The the intertwined nature of the threads in the web of weird also sometimes can pose difficulty for people. Sometimes things can happen to one, and that can affect others close to that one, or potentially even others further removed that somehow have some relation in terms of fate or destiny or life path to that person who's experiencing that said thing, that said situation. But I think maybe the involvement, the effects had on those around the person experiencing, a particular situation directly, I think that is not without reason. Yes, we know that experiences are lessons, though sometimes it's hard to understand the lessons. I also believe that those who are affected by situations that directly relate to certain people, the way that they are being affected is also, it also possesses lessons. I'm trying to think of a way to illustrate this. How can I illustrate this for you? Okay, let's say that there's a man, and his name is Bob, and Bob, he goes through a really, really bad stroke of luck. He starts to lose, let's say, everything. Let's say he loses his job, let's say his marriage dissolves, he's got problems with his friends. A lot of bad things are happening to Bob. But there are people close to Bob whose lives, whose threads in the web of weird are intertwined in certain ways with Bob's thread. Well, what he is going through will affect them as well. They feel for him. Maybe there are other, not consequences, but other effects that take a toll on them as well, by extension. Well, maybe alongside the lesson that Bob is experiencing, those that are affected to a secondary degree, they also have a lesson or lessons inherent in their experience of being affected by what Bob is going through. Maybe it has something to teach them about strength, support, togetherness, patience, or some such thing or things. I do believe that nothing in life happens without reason. Also, I do believe that while there is much to be gained, learned, and much enrichment and growth to come out of positivity and positive experiences in life, I feel that less positive, more trying experiences in life also come with value. There's something in them that, if we take time to recognize that aspect of the situation, those things as well serve their purpose. Also, furthermore, speaking on the journey of life, Life can be likened to a river. It has a current, that tends to pull us along. Everything leads to something else. And the way that things play out, sometimes it's just consequence, cause and effect that springs from free will, or sometimes the wheels of fate, or the web, the spinning of the web. These things are in motion sometimes, and certain things must take place in order for the person or people involved in the situation to be taken from point A closer to point B. It's not always clear in the moment why, but in hindsight, oftentimes when we look back, we find ourselves like, that makes a lot of sense that such and such occurred, because if that didn't happen, then this wouldn't have happened, and then this wouldn't have happened, and then I wouldn't be where I am today. Sometimes things that are not pleasant to go through, they happen because they are carrying us to where we need to be, or occasionally where we want to be, or occasionally to where we are fated to be. And knowing this, that there is a purpose to everything, there is a lesson in everything, I think if you look at it that way, you begin to see that not only the obvious, this too shall pass, but also you begin to see a purpose. Suffering or trials almost become a tool. While they pain us, they challenge us to look deeper. What does this experience have to teach me? What can I do with this experience that can contribute to the greater good? For me, for other people involved, potentially depending on the situation, for others in the world at large. It depends. It really depends on the situation. I have always believed that life is like a card game. You're going to get good hands and you're going to get some shitty hands. But when life deals you a really shitty hand, the way to constructively approach the situation is not to lament, oh, I could have, oh, I should have, oh, I would have, oh, if only. I have instead personally always found that the best approach is to look at what's in front of you. Say, okay, one step at a time. What am I going to do with the hand I've been dealt? There may not be some cut and dry, profound answer. There may not be some easy solution, but the best way to move forward is to simply objectively look at what's there and just a step at a time, you play your way through that hand. In life, there are things that are easy to understand, and there are things that are not so easy to understand. But to some degree, we always have power. We always are empowered in some sense. Some situations are a bit beyond us, but we always have the power to react or to act upon, what is going on. A situation presents itself, we have the power to essentially control our own actions, our own role in what is going on. We can choose, okay, this is going on, this is what I choose to do, being that this is the situation. We also have a choice in how we allow things to affect us, in the sense of such and such happened. I'm going to focus on this or that aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? For example, something bad could happen. A person can either choose to focus only on the fact that it's a hardship, and they can just choose to suffer in that situation. Or that person can seek in that situation, as painful or terrible as it is, they can seek the lesson, they can seek, the potential for growth and positivity to come out of it in some respect. For example, I spoke about how sometimes trials can teach us things about patience, support, love, togetherness, strength, focusing on those aspects can really put a whole different spin on things and can turn a negative into a positive. Now, I'm not saying that this is always easy to do, and I'm not saying that, just celebrate every time something bad happens because, hey, there's a lesson. I'm not saying that. But being that in life there's going to be valleys and there's going to be mountains. When you find yourself in the valley, don't focus on how low you are necessarily. Don't focus on the fact that you're there in the shadow of the mountain. Look around yourself at that landscape instead, and find those metaphorical places that provide you potential for climbing back up out of the valley. In doing so, I think you will come out changed for the better equipped to continue on your journey through life. And you can also, I think, therefore also have more in the sense of experiences, knowledge, wisdom. You'll have more to also contribute to others, as you pursue your purpose in life. One thing that I have learned in life is that being that experiences have much to teach us, not just directly in our experiencing of them, but when others come to us and they have dire situations going on, or they just don't know what to do, or they're seeking insight. We can always turn to the wealth of experience that we have lived, or to the wealth of experiences that we have seen unfold around us in the lives of those that we have lived alongside. And we can share our knowledge, our experience, our understandings based upon what we have observed and felt, that we can also then be there to help others, to give them that sort of insight, that we can not just learn ourselves, but we can then potentially share and teach. And in life, I will say there are some situations that really don't feel as though they have much of a resolution. There are some situations that just, are what they are, and they aren't pleasant. Excuse me, I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. Yes, I do believe to a degree that when situations like that happen, I do believe that they do have some underlying reason and some underlying lesson that we may or may not easily, readily sort of understand. But that aside, I think I don't know how to put this. I have this feeling, and I'm trying to convey it to you. I think acceptance, finding a sort of peace with things that don't have a clear resolution sometimes, while that can be difficult, I think to a degree it can be sort of maybe, I don't know if freeing is the right word. Yeah, this is a really hard topic to address, especially being that it's so broad. There's so many particularities and complexities inherent in questions of destiny, the web of weird, and the journey of life. But I have always found that there is purpose in all things. And I have always found that strength is often most present in times when we wouldn't think it would be present. Trying to think if I have left anything out that I want to share. I don't know that I can say really too much else, but I will say one thing. I will share a dream that I had with you in regard to the journey of life and the web of weird, and then I'll probably wrap up this video. Years ago, I had this dream where I was with someone, And this person was terminally ill. And we got into a car and we rode somewhere. And I remember the door opened and I stepped out. And all I saw was just white as far as the eye could see. It didn't look like there was a floor or walls or any kind of landscape. It was just white. But there were all these people standing around. And the moment that I stepped out of the car, the moment my foot touched that ground, the white ground, that song by John Lennon, Imagine, started to play. And I'm watching these people, and they're interacting with one another. And there was this thing, I don't know what it was, that would be between two people in their interactions with one another, and then they would go off and interact with others, and that thing would branch out. And as people just interacted, this thing sort of just spread like a web, almost like a ripple, but more like a web. And I had this epiphany that, we are all connected. And what happens to one or what one does affects others. So it is important to be aware of this connectedness, this web of weird, this unity, this greater sense of unity, that what affects the one affects the many. While it is difficult in seeing or being present at a time when something trying is affecting one, that can really pull at your heart and really just, you want to do so much, you just don't know what to do. Well, that can be difficult. I think keeping in mind that greater sense of unity, not just the lessons inherent in the experience, for that person experiencing that thing directly and for us as well, but also being that we are all connected. We all have the potential to bring, I guess, comfort, guidance, insight, support, love, help to whatever degree we're able. We are all sort of each other's keepers, I guess you could say. So, when one is experiencing something, one is not ever really alone. Some people might say, well, that's obvious, you have family and friends. But I'm speaking, I think, in a greater context. One is never truly alone because, we are all a collective of sorts. And I think part of our purpose is to be there for one another. I'm going off on a bit of a tangent in a sense, but I really do believe our purpose, one of our purposes in life is to be there for one another, to be each other's keepers, to help one another. Those of us that do spiritual work or readings, we are there to guide, to help. That is part of our purpose. Those that are friends with other people, your purpose is to be a friend, to love, to support, to listen, to share whatever insight or whatever you can when that person that is your friend is uncertain or is feeling uncertain. You may not solve their problems, but I think sometimes just the simple fact that you are there will bring enough comfort to that person experiencing what they are experiencing, that they will feel better fortified, more uplifted, and therefore better able to continue their trying journey forward. A burden on the back of one may be very heavy, but when others come up and share part of that burden, in support, the burden on the one is not as heavy. So, with all this considered, I think I'm going to wrap up this video. I hope I haven't left anything out. I hope I've illustrated my thoughts and feelings clearly. And again, I hope that this video does give you all insight, comfort, food for thought. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, feelings, etc., anything at all in line with the subjects of destiny, the web of weird, or the journey of life, feel free, please, to share that in the comment box below. And with that said, I wish you a pleasant day. Blessed be an Ashe. Stay awesome. And until our next exchange, bye-bye for now.